One of Mario Kart World's biggest questions is, will it actually have a story mode this time around? Well, a lot of people have been digging around from the key art and actually some of the trailers and some of the gameplay segments of Free Roam, and it looks like there can definitely be some evidence of a full story mode being added to this game. Now, there's a whole lot to talk about with this, so I don't want to waste too much time, but first, an absolutely huge thanks to you guys. Over 1,000 brand new subscribers is absolutely crazy. Thank you so much for your support. We are on a goal to reach 350,000 subscribers, and it very well might just happen today. So let's see if we can even beat this amount of subscribers today. Thank you so much for your support. Let's jump into why I believe there could be a secret story mode hidden from Nintendo. Now, first things first, Nintendo added this brand new mode called Free Roam, which essentially has us driving around the entire world from Mario Kart World, where all the tracks are interconnected on one giant island where we can drive off the beaten path and just do whatever we want. But the problem with this is Nintendo really didn't show us doing anything besides just driving around and exploring the scenery. And for a lot of us, it still might be really cool to be able to do that, especially for kids, because I would have loved this as a kid. But still, it definitely needs something to do in this world. Now, outside of the short couple of glimpses we saw in the actual trailer, we only got 2 super small glimpses from the treehouse. And when they did show it off, it simply just showed Mario racing around the outside of an already established track in the game. It didn't show him going anywhere else on this huge vast map, just 2 tracks. The first one was Mario Bros. Circuit, where he kind of just drove around some of the buildings on the actual track before ending it after like a couple of minutes. And the second time, driving around the outsides of Wario's shipyard, just a little bit around the track, and just kind of gave us a glimpse of the vast ocean in the background, but then immediately turned around and didn't show us anything else. In fact, at one of the last events, the treehouse employee actually had this to say about Free Roam mode.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's really neat. And once again, there's more to Free Roam mode than we're talking about here,
Yes.
so please stay tuned
Absolutely.
for the dedicated Mario Kart Direct that's going to be coming up in a few weeks.
Actually, the vice president of Nintendo of America actually talked about this in a post-interview with IGN, because IGN stated that the world felt kind of empty. And Bill Trennan actually states, Mario Kart World, I think especially as you see from the Nintendo Direct, not to give you any hints or anything, but I did read your article this morning, and I think you had mentioned that you didn't find a lot to discover when roaming around. So I would say stay tuned to our Mario Kart Direct to see what maybe you'll be able to find out about that. It seems like Nintendo is very confident about this Free Roam mode, or something else that they're hiding. It's also strange that they announced this Nintendo Direct for Mario Kart World literally in the trailer for Mario Kart World. So it kind of told me immediately that Nintendo had something big up their sleeves for this game. But what makes me actually think there's going to be a story mode? Well, let's go back to Free Roam for a second. And if you actually look at the menu that they open up, you can see some things it looks like we'll be collecting in Free Roam. The first thing that we can see is the fact that you can collect costumes for all the characters, it seems like, by just simply going in Free Roam. Now, this isn't anything special because we've seen that you can also do this simply racing in the main modes. You can just simply pick up one of the food bags and you'll get a costume mid-race. So you don't need Free Roam for this. So that's still not a big reason to play this mode. If we look at the bottom left here, there seems to be some type of counters for these 3 multiple things that you can collect in this overworld. There's P-switches, there's question blocks, and then there's some weird gold peach coins. No, not pink gold peach. I'm not sure what these collectibles are for, but 2 of them can be spotted in some sort of way within the treehouse. For instance, the question blocks seem to be collectibles as part of the main tracks. As you can see for Crown City, there's 10 collectible question blocks that you have to find. What do they give you? What do they do? I really don't know, but it is a collectible on the map for us to go and explore. We can now use new 3D camera maps to see that Nintendo actually is hiding some things within that treehouse event. For instance, there's a P-switch up on this cliff that the camera picks up that we can't see from Mario's point of view. So it looks like we can use this camera to find secrets and hidden collectibles, such as this P-switch, in order to hit them, but what do they do? Yeah, we still don't know yet. And I do think it's more than just throw up some coins in the overworld for you to collect. It has to be. Maybe Free Roam really is just driving around the world and collecting things and just having fun. Maybe that's all it's meant to be, because there's another secret mode that Nintendo's hiding, and that is an official story mode. I think the hardest part of this question is, if Nintendo was to add a story mode for Mario Kart World, how would it be tied into the game? Would it just be slapped into Free Roam, or would it be in its own separate mode that utilizes the same map but actually has story mode elements to it? It's hard to say. Personally, I would hope it's separate from free roam. Maybe free roam is just a place for you to do little missions and challenges, whereas story mode actually has some story mode elements in a whole separate mode tied to a different menu. Someone actually had a picture of the title screen from the demo that they've played, and it doesn't give us a whole lot. Of course, it's a demo. Nintendo's probably not going to reveal everything that's on this page, but for the most part, we have what we can expect: single player, multiplayer, online play, and wireless play. And then at the bottom are a couple of icons. One has a Lakitu book, which seems to be a settings icon. One seems to be a map icon of some sort. Not for sure what this could be. Maybe this is achievements or records throughout your game. And there's a Yoshi icon on the bottom left, which could be some type of collectible, maybe another achievement system. But these are probably minor things like settings and records for the game. But I want to go back up to single player, because you could easily tie a whole story mode within that single tab. And that's probably why it's not able to be chosen, of course, with these demos. What's even more interesting is free roam just seems to be a simple mode that you can just jump into and drive around real quick. It's not even tied to a whole tab. It's just pushing the plus button at the bottom right. So yeah, it makes me believe that there could be something a lot bigger that has its own tab. And also the icons seem to be weirdly placed. There's like a lot of space at the bottom, as if there's another icon that's supposed to go in there that they took out obviously for this demo. Enough yapping about where this mode will appear. The big question is, how will it appear? And what do we actually want from a story mode for Mario Kart? Now, I know a lot of people like to say, what is a game like Mario Kart going to have a story for? Well, I mean, Nintendo is no strangers to having story modes in some of their stranger games. Like, there's literally story modes in their sports games, like literally the ones on the Switch as well, with Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush having full-blown story modes. Now, there's not a lot to them, but there are like lots of missions that you can do, and there is a little story with dialogue, and there's even main antagonists to these games with boss battles. Yes, a Mario Golf game has a boss battle. Is it great? Not necessarily, but it's fun because it's there. Why not? Mario Kart has experience in the past having modes similar to that of a story mode. The closest we've ever gotten was Mario Kart DS, which actually allowed us to have a mode called Mission Mode. In this mode, you'd go throughout the various different tracks, and they'll probably section off a big chunk of that track in order for you to complete missions, where you can actually try to get better ranks on each one. You can get up to 3-star ranks, so you'd go through these missions trying to complete them the best way as possible. Not to mention, at the end of each page of missions, the game will give you a boss battle. Yeah, a boss battle in a Mario Kart game, and they were all handled pretty well. Considering the fact that you can freely move around an area and also use tons of items from the game, it actually worked a lot better than it might sound. This mode was seriously ahead of its time, and it's strange to me that it never came back in any other Mario Kart game, because it just was a awesome thing to play alone. That's the problem with a lot of these Mario Karts, is there's not a lot of stuff to do by yourself, and free roam definitely helps, but I would love to see them go a step further once again and have something like the mission mode. But I feel like they're going to go even further this time around, and not just make it a mission mode, but rather a full-blown story. One thing I've seen pointed out, and I noticed actually really quickly when going over the trailer for an analysis, is this scene right here. Luigi is driving through some city, and at the very top of this cliff in front of him is a giant billboard sign. The sign reads, "Home of the Rainbow Fragment," which is pretty interesting. What is the Rainbow Fragment? I mean, we played a lot of Mario games, and we've never had something quite like this. This very well could just be an advertisement and just something that's part of the game for a little detail and stuff like that. But I want to think it's actually more than that. Like, what if the story is based on some rainbow fragment that falls out of the sky? Now, I'll also take it a little further for you. Which location does this seem to be on the map? Well, based on the location and the surrounding things, we can see some palm trees right here. In the background, we see some cliffs and what looks like some savanna trees, which might mean some type of African plain or savanna that's on the other side of this rock. Looking at the map, I think one of these two locations at the south part would actually be where this scene takes place. But I might be able to pin this down a lot closer, because in the next scene, we show the camera actually facing Luigi as he's driving towards the camera, and behind him, we get a better look at the view. It's hard to tell a lot of things as it looks just like a city, but if you squint at the back right, you can see some shadows of what seems to be a giant bridge. And there's only one giant bridge on the entire map, and that is on the south portion. That leaves us with two definite locations. So I'm willing to bet that Luigi's in Crown City, as you can see a city all around him, and also some giant cliff sides to the north of him as he's driving towards them, which is probably right here, leaving the giant bridge to his back left. or he could be somewhere around this area, although I don't see any terrain that looks like this color when he's driving, so option number 1 sounds the best to me. It doesn't matter because any of these locations work for my theory, and you might be wondering what I'm getting at here. Who cares where Luigi's at and where the bridge is at and where he's driving? Well, this rainbow sign is actually very important because it also seems to be where Rainbow Road is going to appear. This was actually pulled from the Korean Nintendo website, which was, I guess, on mistake because they hurry up and took it down. They've been messing up a lot lately because they also did the same thing with Donkey Kong revealing a major character for Donkey Kong Bonanza. But yes, Rainbow Road is in the game and it seems to be in this spot. And once we zoom out, this is where Rainbow Road is on the map, right in between Crown City, Koopa Troopa Beach, Faraway Oasis, and Peach Stadium. So maybe the home of the star fragment is actually related to Rainbow Road, and after we complete the story mode, we actually get to unlock Rainbow Road. I mean, it's called the Rainbow Fragment. It even has a rainbow on the sign, and how else would we unlock Rainbow Road? This isn't like normal Mario Kart games where we just get to the final cup. There is actually a whole interconnected map, and for some reason, this track would have to appear. Now, it could just appear when we finish the final cup, but that would be kind of anticlimactic for a world that's supposed to be all interconnected and open. I know for a lot of you, I've already sounded like a crazy conspiracy theorist, or maybe I'm making a lot of sense to some of you, but I'm gonna go even further here. If you look closer on that Rainbow Road icon, you'll notice that there's 7 candles, or maybe 7 lights or something that's on top of the rainbow. If we look at the map, it's fairly easy to divide this map within 7 main regions. The first one being pretty much where maybe you'll start the game, right below Peach's castle and that whole, Crown City, ocean, giant bridge region. We can piece apart the other 6 locations. Number 2 could be the whole meadows or plains in the middle of the map. Number 3 would be Bowser's castle and the whole volcanic region to the top left. Number 4 could be a jungle region to the north. Number 5 could be the snow region to the northeast. Number 6 could be the ocean and water region, and also the African savanna plains and everything over there on the eastern part of the map. And number 7 could be the entire west part of the map with the desert and also the sand dunes to the far west. Shoot, maybe the map isn't even connected when we start story mode. Maybe we have to piece together all the islands, and maybe they're all floating apart, and after we complete one, we piece it together to form the giant bigger island. But imagine we had to collect a rainbow shard from each and every single region. That would give us 7 regions, so we do missions and challenges and side quests, and then defeat that region's boss in order to get a rainbow fragment, which then eventually when we get all 7, we can rebuild the bridge to Rainbow Road and it's all fixed, and we have one final race there, or maybe that's where we fight the final boss that made the rainbow fragment fall in the first place, which would be so cool to have an original boss in a game like Mario Kart. Maybe I'm digging way too deep, but it's also strange how when we see the title screen, it looks like they have a full rendered version of the entire map for some reason. Maybe that's just because it's the intro of the game and that's what they'll show us, but maybe it's even more than that. Maybe this is an actual cutscene or some type of story scene showing the entire map in its entirety, obviously, but I don't know. The render of the map looks so good and I would love to see it actually be used in game, so I'm really hoping that this is in fact tied to a story mode. As far as what the gameplay could be, just copy mission mode. I would love there to be just tons of NPCs that we walk up to and they give us like little challenges, like, hey, drive backwards through this area or this track, or hey, go through all these rings, or hey, collect this amount of thing in this amount of time. That'd be really cool. Or take out these enemies. Here are these items. Take out all these enemies within this area under this specific time. They could even have a little ranking system for each one, which would have really cool replayability in order to get all 3 stars on every single mission within that story mode. And overall, story mode in games is a way to help you understand the controls and also all the weird mechanics of the game. And something like Mario Kart World has a lot of crazy mechanics that could actually work really well for both bosses and for missions. For instance, there's grind rails now that you can even switch between, maybe for a boss battle or for a mission where you have to just stay on all the grind rails, or maybe there's a whole mission dedicated on the fact that you need to wall jump your way all the way to the end, which is also a new mechanic for this game. So I would be so out of my mind shocked if they didn't have some type of full-blown story mode to really utilize all that. Even if some of the missions are just racing NPCs or maybe even going through the courses, but a lot of it is changed, like there's a lot of enemies slapped onto the course or something that you have to dodge or get to the end without taking any damage, that could be a lot of fun. And with a world that's already made for free roam, I don't see how in the world they couldn't utilize this same world to have tons of fun challenges littered all across it. Even if it's simple fetch quests, like pull up to an NPC, they want you to go to another town or somewhere to grab something or look for something, or they give you a map with directions to some type of secret location on the map, that could be cool as well. Literally, I'll take anything like this, and I think these would work great for a simple story mode for Mario Kart World. But maybe they go even further and actually have cutscenes and characters and unique characters and story. I doubt it, but man, I would take anything at this point. Once again, that free roam segment in the trailer may have been hiding a lot with the story mode, like Mario passing by this P-switch, or Toadette passing by this giant helicopter in the middle of the savannah, or Wario in the sand desert driving past a biplane that's actually dropping some type of item with small parachutes attached to it. It's clearly a lot that they're hiding from us, so yes, I do think this game is in fact going to have a story mode, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. But if all of that still wasn't enough to convince you, I think there's even more to learn from the official game art. At the back left, we can see the track Shy Guy Bazaar make a return, but it's definitely got an overhaul to change completely, and it looks a lot like Sarasa Land from Mario Land. Even much so, above it, you can even see a UFO, which could be a reference to Tatanga, or maybe even Tatanga himself is in this game. Maybe as an enemy, a boss, who knows, but we haven't seen anything like this with any of the trailers or gameplay we've seen so far. No, this isn't just a coincidence, because we can actually see in the treehouse that one of the in-between tracks is actually based on Mario Land, because it even has the Toko Toko enemies, which we haven't seen since Mario Land. So no, this isn't just a theory, this seems to be a Sarasa Land inspired area. And we even have an image of Daisy herself, which was the main damsel of distress in the original Mario Land, here in her Oasis outfit, riding a magic carpet cart, flying towards this giant palace in the middle of Shy Guy Bazaar and this desert region. So yes, it seems like they are heavily pulling from Mario Land and Sarasa Land, finally after all these years, which seems very odd to do just for a track. Like, there's gotta be some type of story tie-in here. Also, some other strange scenes, like for instance, there's a police car on this one. Is there gonna be some type of Need for Speed mission where we get chased by the police in Mario Kart? Is this Mario GTA? Maybe I just missed it, but I watched through most of the treehouse footage, well, technically every frame of the treehouse footage, and I didn't see anything that actually showed a reference to a police car at all. So unless I just really missed something, this is pretty interesting. There's also a giant Zeppelin. Now, I don't know if this is actually just for an advertisement thing, just for show, because how else would we get up there unless there's some type of flying thing in this game that we haven't seen yet, which would make flying across the map pretty cool, I can't lie. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. The last thing I want to point out is we can actually see some Super Koopas flying over the map. Yes, these are the ones that we haven't seen since Super Mario World, that were pretty much just Koopa Troopas that used the Super Cape Feather and just had their own capes and flew across the stages. They even had the white t-shirt still and the blue tennis shoes. It's actually really weird that they brought these back, and we haven't seen anything with them yet. Like, where else would they appear and why else would they be here? Clearly, they gotta be tied to some type of story mode or side mode or something, right? And those are the reasons why I believe there's going to be a story mode of some capacity in this game. I would be very, very shocked if I'm wrong on this one, and actually pretty let down considering the fact that they kind of are hyping up this Nintendo Direct focused on Mario Kart 8. I'm expecting there to be a lot of stuff that we don't know yet, and a lot of reasons to justify that $80 price tag. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are you optimistic about the future of this game? Do you think it's going to have a story mode or more to free roam than what we've seen already? Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you want to see from this Nintendo Direct focus on this game. And thank you so much for tuning in. Before you head out, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart World. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.